This lesson is on one-step inequalities. So before we were looking at equations. Sorry, that pen took a second. An equation, and if you look at the word equation, it has what looks like the word equal in it. And that makes sense because all the equations we were looking at had an equal sign in them. For example, 2x equals 4. In this lesson, instead, we're looking at inequalities. It has the word unequal in it, so it's not going to use an equal sign. It's going to use other signs that you've probably seen before, like less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or this is the trickiest one, not equal to. So as long as it uses any one of these 5 signs, it's called an inequality. Now to type these in your computer, you're going to use the keys right by the M button to type less than or greater than, and then these 2 signs you need to underline. So after you type the less than, you're going to need to highlight it and press Control U to underline it. Same thing with the greater than or equal to. You're going to have to type the greater than sign and then highlight it and hit Control U to underline it. The not equal to sign is really hard to type on the computer, so you don't even need to worry about it right now. Don't type that one in. So let's start out by graphing some basic inequalities. The first one says y is greater than -9. So on our number line over here, the first thing we need to do is find the -9 and put the circle right above it on the number line. And since it's saying y is greater than -9, it can be any number on the number line that is bigger than -9. So to show that, we just draw an arrow that's pointing that way, saying it can be any one of those numbers. Remember, it's not equal to or greater than -9, it's just greater than -9. So all we have is our arrow. And on your notes, you can just copy this sign up above. You have some choices of signs. Above, you have this one. Copy it and paste it down on the number line exactly where it's supposed to go. The next one says x is less than or equal to 4. So again, we just have to find our 4 on the number line. And since this time it says x is less than, we want to show that x can be any number less than 4. The one extra part about this one is it's underlined, so that means x can also be equal to 4. So the extra thing that we need to do to show that it can be equal to 4 is shade in that circle. That means it can be equal to this number, or it can be anything less than that. So again, to show this on your worksheet, find the shape up above that looks like this, shaded in dot with an arrow going that way, copy and paste it and put it on your number line down below. The next one says D is greater than or equal to 6. So we find our 6, show that it's any number greater than it, and then also for the equal, we have to shade in the dot showing it can be equal to 6. Last one, it says K is less than 0. So we find our 0 on the number line, circle it, and then go to the left, showing it can be any number that is less than 0. One extra trick you can see when you look at these signs is that the sign always points the same way as the arrow. So here it says y is greater than, the arrow is pointing to the right, and the arrow is pointing to the right. Here it says x is less than or equal to, and the arrow is pointing to the left, so the arrow is pointing to the left. That's a little trick you can help remember on which way the arrow should be pointing. Sometimes it doesn't have the solution right away, so you need to solve it. And this is only one-step inequalities, like before when we did one-step equations. So here again, we draw our line down from the inequality sign, and we need to get rid of the +3. So just like last lesson, we need to do the opposite of +3. Opposite of plus is minus. We're going to subtract 3 on both sides. and we'll get x is greater than 8. So now just like last time, we have to find the 8, point the arrow in the right direction, and we have our inequality graphed. I'll do one more with you and then you can try a couple on your own. This inequality says x minus 7 is less than or equal to 2. So we draw our line down from the inequality sign, and we have to get rid of the minus 7. So the opposite of minus 7 is plus 7, so we do that on both sides. And we have x is less than or equal to 9. To graph that, we find our 9. It's going to be way over here. And draw in our arrow showing it's any number less than 9. Since it can be equal to 9, we also have to shade it in. Take a minute and try the last problem, and then there's also a few over here for you to try on your own. Remember, do the opposite and then graph it. Okay, after you have those done, there's one more rule that you need to learn before we're done with this lesson. And that is that in an inequality, when you multiply or divide by a negative, you flip the sign. So let's look at what that means. If you flip a less than sign, it becomes greater than. Sorry, my pen's having issues here. There we go, greater than. Next one, if we flip the greater than, it becomes less than. So if you look at them, we're just kind of doing the mirror image or turning them around, however you want to think about it. Greater than or equal, or sorry, less than or equal to becomes greater than or equal to, and greater than or equal to becomes less than or equal to. Remember, this is only when you multiply or divide by a negative. So if you're not multiplying or dividing by a negative, we're doing it exactly how we just learned. You don't need to change anything at all. So let's look at a few examples. This first inequality says negative 3x is greater than 6. So to solve this again, we draw our line down from the inequality sign, and we need to get rid of the multiply by negative 3. So the opposite of that is divide by negative 3. We're going to do that on both sides. And so we just divided by a negative. Since we divided by a negative, this negative 3 right here, we have to flip the sign. So we're going to get x on this side, negative 2 on this side, and since we're flipping the sign, it starts out with greater than, and it ends up with less than. So to graph that, we circle the negative 2 and highlight all the numbers that are less than it. Trying one more. Draw our line down. To get rid of divide by negative 2, we multiply by negative 2. And we have multiply by negative 2. And we have x and negative 8. Here we multiplied by a negative, so we still have to flip the sign. It started out with less than or equal to, so we're going to make it greater than or equal to. So to graph that, find the negative 8. It can be equal to it, so we shade it in, and we show it can be anything greater than that. Practice the next few problems on the next page. You should have to flip the sign in all of them because you are multiplying or dividing by negatives.